Go to TAPgiles.com to learn dreams, engage my services, and support the channel. Okay, so that's cool. So now how do we get the sunlight to work as well? We can't do this thing because that is based on the laser scope being at the position of the light and pointing towards the player, because the sun is like infinitely far away over there. One thing we do have to work with though is sun position, and if we get a splitter we can see what that is. So one in there, so that's the sun position we're getting, and if we move it you can see the numbers change. So we got essentially X, Y and Z, and that's the direction of the sun. It doesn't matter how far away it is, it's just the direction. So we could have something like a block, maybe we'll have a cone. Like that. Yeah, so this cone will point in the same direction, it will point towards the sun essentially. So let's have, let's put some logic on the bottom of it. Like that. And we want to look at the sun. So look at rotator. And the arrow should be like that because that's what we want to point at the sun. And then just whammy these up. And then we can send it a direction from the sun output. So sun position, which is actually a direction, into the direction. Cool. So now as we move the sun, that sculpt is pointing in the same direction as the sun. That kind of thing. And then we can add in here a teleporter, like that, to the light on feet. And yeah, that will just move to the player and it's colliding with it. That's why it's floating around. So we just make that non-collidable, and we can make it invisible, but I'll leave it visible for now. And now as we are here, we can move around and it's always still going to point at the sun. So if it hits one of these sculpts which have the scenery tag, we know that it's shaded from the sun. So we can just have a laser scope in here pointing in the same direction like that, and then we can just make it really far. And now when this rotates to point at the sun, from this point it's pointing at the sun. It's just a laser scope pointing at the sun from the position of the feet. So that's cool. And it's checking to see if there's a scenery thing there. And if there is, it's going to assume it's casting a shadow. And it shouldn't care if it's collidable, but it should be visible. And then just send that to there, or actually put it through a NOT gate, because this signal is if it's in shade. So if it's through a NOT gate, then the signal is it not in shade, is in light, and then that will send a signal to there. Cool. So it's in light. Now it's not in light. It's in light. Now it's not in light. So that just kind of works. And now you know if the sun is shaded by something with specifically that label. So you could have something that's set a different color and make it not cast shadows, but it has the same label, and it will still think it's in shade. So you've got to make sure your scene is set up correctly. And similarly, it could be casting shadows but not have the right label, and it won't know that it's in shade because it won't think it's hit anything. So just make sure you're setting it up right. You could like simplify maybe if you have a complex scene or you've already built it, then let's see if I can just bring in some sort of scene. Let's do that one. So something like that. If this is like made up of lots of sculpts and complicated stuff, instead of trying to go through all of it and adjust all of it, you could just make a rough approximation and it would work like just as well really. So I'll put it onto smear and just say, oh, there's a column there, there's a column there, there's a bigger column there, and one of these jobs. Put that there. And this can be invisible and non-collidable as long as it has the scenery thing, and it doesn't even have to cast shadows or anything. And you can even turn off preview invisibility so I can see it again, and go to tools and use adjust detail and just make it really fluffy and low detail and very cheap, because it doesn't actually care. The accuracy of this doesn't matter too much, and you can like make it, if it matters more for a particular area, you can just adjust this really easily without worrying about the actual object. And now it should just still work. Oh, it's looking for visible, so it shouldn't care about visible because we're making this invisible. And now it's finding it. Yeah, so now we can hide behind this thing, but it's just like a more abstract representation of what the actual shadows are. And you can see there's like a discrepancy there. So we can just pause and go in here. There we go. And now it's saying we're not in light again, so we can hide there. Yeah, so it's actually a fairly simple solution, and it all just kind of works, which is great. And then of course, if you have this lighting up some of that shadow, then that's in light. So they're both sending, so the sun won't be sending that it's in the light, but then this actual light is sending that I am in light, so then it cares about that. So if either of them say it's in light, then it is, and then we can just hide that. And job done. And you can even do stuff like animate things. So if I just do very quick, crude animations, and even go dip below the horizon, and then I can just make that slow. And I can make one over here. Like that. So as the sun passes me, it knows when I'm in shade, and then when I'm not in shade. And let's get around again. And with like a active light that's wobbling around, it could be with physics or whatever you want, that all just works as well. And this kind of thing can be used not just for a light, but like detection, like a detection cone of an enemy character chasing you or something like that, and you just like stick that kind of logic to its head, and then job done.
Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to learn something new every day.